we're hearing UK's Prime Minister will be in the nation's capital this weekend.
This will be the second time that Keir Starmer has met face-to-face with Mark Carney. Shortly after Carney was elected Liberal leader and therefore Prime Minister, he traveled to Europe, went to France and also to the UK, met with Emmanuel Macron, who will also be at the G7 starting early next week, and also met with Keir Starmer there, talking about the possibility of Canada expanding its trade relationship with the United Kingdom. This is a big issue for the UK since they did their Brexit. They withdrew from the European Union. They've been looking to firm up trade relationships with other countries around the world, including chiefly the United States. And there was a bit of a hubbub in the last few weeks about whether or not the UK really did have a new trade deal with Donald Trump. Trump certainly declared it to be a deal, but didn't seem to be a whole lot of substance to it. Now, Canada does have a trade deal with the United Kingdom. This is something that is a holdover from Brexit. Basically, when the UK left the European Union, we agreed to kind of basically extend sort of the favorable terms we had under the CETA agreement between Canada and Europe. We kind of ported those over with some modifications for a trade relationship between Canada and the UK, but it is sort of temporary. It's not supposed to be a permanent deal. So this is something that would likely be discussed between Starmer and Carney here in Ottawa this weekend, although, of course, the main topic of conversation is very likely to be Donald Trump and his anticipated presence at the G7. You remember the last time Canada hosted a G7, 7 years ago, back in June of 2018. The G7 was held in Charlevoix, Quebec. Justin Trudeau was then our Prime Minister. Donald Trump left that G7 feeling like he'd been ganged up on by the 6 other leaders around the table. And as he was flying to Asia in Air Force One, shortly after leaving Canada, taking off from Quebec, he started tweeting some messages critical of the host of that summit, Justin Trudeau. Carney obviously would like to avoid that outcome. He's going to be talking to Starmer about ways that they can kind of present kind of a united front amongst the other leaders, but without antagonizing Donald Trump in this way. Now, some other people coming to the G7 who are not members of that group of 7 countries, that includes only Canada, the UK, the US, Japan, Germany, France, and the European Union is also represented there, although they are not actually part of the 7 nations that form that. But Carney has also additionally invited Volodymyr Zelensky, Ukraine's president. Little controversy there. He's been at many of the G7 summits in the past because the security situation in Ukraine with Russia's invasion is such a major issue still at these summits. But he has also invited India's Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. This is controversial given Canada's relationship. The RCMP is currently conducting an investigation into the 2023 killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, in a Sikh activist in British Columbia on Canadian soil, that the federal government at the time accused Modi's government of orchestrating, essentially accusing another country, a Commonwealth member, of killing a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil. Nevertheless, Carney has decided to invite Modi to the G7. He's not a member, again, not a full-time member of the G7, but he will be there sort of on the sidelines, some of the peripheral events, and get a chance to talk to other leaders. Carney arguing that India's role in the global economy is so great that when you're having discussions about trade and economics, you have to have them there. He's also invited Mohammed bin Salman, who is the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. A really difficult human rights record there. Allegations that bin Salman's regime was involved in the murder of a New York Times journalist. Lots of concerns, human rights concerns about this decision to invite him. Nevertheless, he will be there. We'll see as we get closer to the day if there are others also invited to this G7. Carney has tried to frame this as really focused on economics and trade, as well as world security, but really it is the effects of the Trump tariffs. And keep in mind, this is the first time, Faiza, that this group is meeting since Donald Trump was elected, and they're going to have to figure out a way to deal with Donald Trump face-to-face around that table. It's a small table, only 8 leaders at there, if you include the Europeans, to express to him their frustration with these tariffs. We'll see how this works out. This is going to be a critical test of Mark Carney's ability to lead on the global stage.
We'll be watching this one closely. Our Glenn McGregor in Ottawa. Glenn, thank you.